Welcome dear students. I am Dr. Rasmeet Kaur Malhi, Assistant Professor, Department of Management from the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. With this video, I am here again with a very interesting topic of Indian Contract Act, that is performance of contract. In this video, we will talk about what is meaning of performance of contract, modes of performances, types of offer or tender, essentials of a valid tender, contracts which need not to be performed, by whom must the contract be performed, who can demand performance, time and place of performance, failure to perform a contract within the stipulated time, devolution of rights, meaning of reciprocal promises, types of reciprocal promises and rules regarding the reciprocal promises. So let's get started. Performance of a contract takes place when the parties to a contract fulfill their obligation arising under the contract within the time and in the prescribed manner. Section 37 lays down that the parties to a contract must either perform or offer to perform their respective promises, unless such performances is dispensed with or excused. Performance of a contract is the most usual mode of discharge of contract. Now let's come to what are the different types of performance of contracts. Performances may be of two types. First is actual performance. When each party to a contract fulfills his obligation arising under the contract within the time and in the manner prescribed, it amounts to actual performance of the contract and the contract comes to an end or stands discharged. For example, P agrees to deliver 100 sacks of mangoes to Q and Q promises to pay the price on delivery. P delivers the mangoes on due date and X thereby makes the payment. This is called actual performance. Let's come to the second one, attempted performance or tender. When the promisor offers to perform his obligation under the contract but is unable to do so because the promisee does not accept the performance, it is called as an attempted performance or tender. Thus, tender is not actual performance, but it is only an offer to perform. A valid tender of performance is equivalent to the performance. Let's take an example here. A contracts to deliver B 100 tons of basmati rice at his warehouse on a specific date, let's say 6th of December 2019. A takes the goods to B's place on the due date during the business hour, but B, without assigning any good reason, refuses to take the delivery. It is a case of attempted performance and A is not responsible for non-performance of B. Now let's discuss what are the essentials of a valid tender. A valid tender should fulfill the following essentials. First, it must be unconditional. Second, it must be at proper time and place. Third, it must be of the whole obligation and not only for the part. Fourth, if the tender relates to delivery of goods, it must give a reasonable opportunity to the promisee for inspection of goods so that he may ensure that the goods tendered of contract are as per the description. Fifth, it must be made by a person who is in a position and is willing to perform the promise. A tender by a minor or an idiot is not a valid tender. Sixth, it must be made to a proper person, that is the promisee or his duly authorized agent. Tender made to a stranger is invalid. Seventh point, if there are several joint promisees, an offer to any one of them is a valid tender. But the actual payment must be made to all the joint promisees and not to any one of them for a valid discharge of contract. And the eighth one, in case of a tender of money, exact amount should be tendered in the legal tender money. Let's come to another topic, contracts which need not to be performed. Section 56 says that in a contract, when its performance becomes impossible, it needs not to be performed. Section 62 says when the parties to it agree to substitute to a new contract or to rescind it or to alter it. Section 63 says when the promisee dispenses with or remits wholly or in part the performance of the promise made to him, or extends the time of such performance or accepts any satisfaction for it. Section 64 whereas says that when the person at whose option it is voidable rescinds it. Section 67 says when the promisee neglects or refuses to afford the promisor reasonable facilities for the performance of his promise, and when the contract becomes illegal. Now let's discuss by whom must the contract be performed. First is the promisor himself. This means the contract which involves the exercise of personal skill or diligence of the promisor, or which are founded on personal confidence between the parties, must be performed by the promisor himself. Let's take an example here. A promises to paint a picture for B. Here, A must fulfill his promise personally. Second, agent. Section 40 says that where the personal consideration is not the foundation of the contract, the promisor or his representative may employ a competent person to perform it. Let's take another example here. A promises to pay B a sum of money. A may fulfill this promise either by personally paying the money to B or by causing it to be paid to B by another. Third, legal representative. A contract which does not involve the use of personal skill can also be performed by legal representative of the deceased promisor, but their liability under a contract is limited to the value of the property they inherit from the deceased. Let's take two examples here. A promises to paint a picture for B by a certain date at a certain price. A dies before the day. This contract cannot be enforced either by A's representative for B. Another example. A promises to deliver goods to B on a certain day on payment of rupees 1000. A dies before that day. A's representatives are bound to deliver the goods to B, and B is bound to pay rupees 1000 to A's representative. Let's come to the fourth point, third persons. When a promisee accepts the performance of the promise from a third person, he cannot afterwards enforce it against the promisor. Let's take an example here. A wants to sell his property to B. So, A and B entered into the contract for sale of property. A suddenly falls ill and therefore, through power of attorney, authorized his elder brother E to perform the contract on A's behalf. B thus afterwards cannot enforce it against the promisor. Let's come to the fifth point, that is performance of joint promises. There may be contracts having joint promisors or joint promisees. There may be two or more creditors entitled to the same obligation, or two or more debtors under the liability in a joint promise. In such cases, two or more individuals are bound to perform it together jointly and not separately. Let's take one more example here. A, B, C jointly enters into a contract with E for the sale of their jointly purchased property. Here, A, B, C are equally liable for the performance of contract. Now let's talk about who can demand performance. In performance of contract, a contract can be demanded by promisee himself, legal representative or agents, and also by a legal heir. In performance of a contract, time and place plays a very important role. This is covered under section 46 to section 50. Let's discuss about it. First one, where time and place of performance is prescribed by the promisee. In such cases, the performance of the contract must be at a specified time and at a given place. Second, where time and place of performance is not prescribed by the promisee, then the contract must be performed under two conditions. First, within a reasonable time on a working day and within the usual hours of business, and second, at a proper place. Now let's talk about failure to perform a contract within a stipulated time period. What are the consequences of it? According to section 55, there are certain rules which are applicable in such cases. Rule number 1. Where time is the essence of the contract and there is failure to perform within the fixed time. In all such kind of contracts, the contracts become voidable at the option of the promisee. He may rescind the contract and also sue for breach. Rule number 2. Where time is not the essence of the contract. Failure to perform within the specified time does not make the contract voidable. In such a case, the promisee cannot rescind the contract and he will have to accept the delayed performance. But he would be entitled to claim compensation from the promisor for any loss caused to him by the delay. Now let's discuss about what do we mean by devolution of rights. Section 45 of Indian Contract Act 1872 says that when a promisee has made promise to two or more persons jointly, the rule is called devolution of rights. Section 45 lays down that all the promisees must jointly claim the performance. Second, if any one of them dies, then his representatives shall claim the performance jointly with the surviving promisor. Third, further, in case of death of all, the legal representatives of all of them jointly needs to claim the performance of the promise. For example, A and B jointly give loan of rupees 50,000 to C. C promises A and B jointly to repay back the amount. B dies. Here, the legal representative of B can jointly with the survivor of A can claim the performance of the promise from C. Let's talk about what are reciprocal promises. Section 51 to Section 54 of Indian Contract Act of 1872 covers the reciprocal promises. Promises which form the consideration or part of consideration for each other are called reciprocal promises or mutual promise. There are certain rules regarding the performance of contract of reciprocal promises which are covered under Section 51 to 54 and 57. Now let's talk about what are the different types of reciprocal promises. Broadly, reciprocal promises can be classified into three main categories. First one, mutual and dependent. Second, mutual and independent. And the third one is mutual and concurrent. Let's start with the first one, mutual and dependent promises. When the performance of one depends on the prior performance of the other party, the promises are called as mutual and dependent promises. These are also called as conditional promises. Let's take example here. To understand this concept, let's take an example here. X promises to Y that he may construct a house for him, provided that he supplies cement and brick. This will be a conditional and a dependent promise. Here X need not to perform the promise if Y fails to supply cement and bricks. The second type of reciprocal promise is mutual and independent promises. These are those promises where the parties independently perform their promises without waiting for the other party to perform. To understand this concept, let's take one example. X agrees to supply milk daily to Y, while Y agrees to pay the price of milk every month. Both these are mutual and independent promises. Let's come to the third classification of reciprocal promises, that is mutual and concurrent promises. When the parties have to perform their promises simultaneously, they are said to be mutual and concurrent promises. To understand this concept, let's take a very easy example. All cash sales are examples of simultaneous or concurrent promises, as delivery of goods and payment of price take place simultaneously. Now let's discuss what are the rules regarding the reciprocal promises. First one, for simultaneous performance. Both the parties have to perform their promises simultaneously. Second, where the order of performance is fixed. It should be performed in that order as fixed by the contract. Third rule, where the order of performance is not fixed. In such cases, the promises shall be performed in order of the nature of the transaction requires. Fourth rule, effect of preventing the performance. If one party is willing to perform but the other person or the other party stops him from doing so, he can treat the contract as void and can claim the compensation for the loss. Rule number 5. effect of non-performance by the party who is to perform first. In such cases, if one party fails to perform, then it can claim the performance from the second party. For example, Mr. B promises to deliver 100 kgs of cotton to Mr. C and he promises to pay after 1 month. But Mr. B does not deliver the goods. So he must make compensation to him and Mr. C need not to perform the promise. Rule number 6. Promise to do things legal and other things illegal. Here the first set of promises is a valid contract and the second set is void. Let's take one example. Mr. A promises to sell a house to Mr. B for rupees 1 lakh. But Mr. B is ready to pay rupees 2 lakhs for that particular house because he wants to use it for gambling purpose. Here selling the house from A to B is a valid contract, but using the house for gambling is a void contract. And the last rule, rule number 7, performance of alternative reciprocal promises, one branch being illegal. In such cases, here the legal branch alone can be enforced. With this, children, we come to end of this module. I have tried to take examples to make you understand the concept of performance of contract. Hope to meet you soon. Thank you for watching.